Have you ever thought about saving money on taxes? Have you ever wondered how the billionaires and millionaires use real estate to reduce their tax liability and perhaps get some money back? Well, we are going to talk about cost segregation, bonus depreciation, and all these amazing things with David Weiner. How you doing, sir?
I am better than I deserve to be. How are you, Michael?
I got to tell you, people in the one rental at a time family, and frankly, real estate investors of all ilk really love the idea of cost segregation and bonus depreciation.
How can
Why
you
don't we
not?
Yeah, why don't we first define what it is, just in case this is somebody's first time, and remind folks I have a playlist called Deep Dive, where in that playlist you go through 90 minutes of Q&A with real estate investors. So that interview is there. But real quick, what is cost segregation? What is bonus depreciation? And we'll talk about what's going on this year and last year.
Simply, cost segregation is depreciating things the way they're supposed to be depreciated. When you buy rental real estate, whether it's commercial, industrial, residential, whatever, typically that's depreciated straight line over a 27.5 year period. It's the easy way to do it. But there are many pieces and parts of your building that really have a different depreciable life, 5 years, 7 years, 15 years. A cost segregation study basically looks at your property and then segregates those costs into their real depreciable life, speeding up your depreciation. When you shorten the period of time that something depreciates, it increases the tax deductions. That's a good thing. And then in 2017, along comes the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And they said, in doing that, we really want to help incentivize people to invest in real estate. So we're going to create what we call bonus depreciation. And for up until the end of 2022, any property that was placed in service since the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you can actually take all that 5-year, 7-year, and 15-year property as a deduction 100% the first year.
Yeah.
So now those bigger tax deductions are huge tax deductions.
Yes. Yes. So a couple of things about this. First and foremost, as you will see in that deep dive playlist, this is a process I have personally been through. David saved me tens of thousands of dollars on purchases that I made between 2018 and the end of 2022. Because again, it was part of the Jobs Act. You got up to 100% depreciation, 5, 7. Is it 5, 7, and 15 years? Yeah. So a couple of things about that, because some people go loopy when they hear things like this. I am not actually getting any extra depreciation, right? The building is the building in its totality. You're not somehow magically saying, I'm going to depreciate more in totality. You're just moving a portion, and I would argue a significant portion, to year one. And then year 2 through 27 or 28, whatever it is just less. But my total over life of ownership will be the same if I owned it for the full term.
It's actually the same. And in years 2 through 27.5, it's just a little bit less than it would be straight line, because all we can really accelerate is about 20% of the property value, not including the land. So we calculated all of that out in one of our videos and actually looked at the town or the duplex that I did for you. So I'd encourage people to go look at that if you want to get a deep dive into the calculations. But about 20% of the value of the building are things that are not structural. So you're talking about cabinets, countertops, floor coverings, wall coverings, window treatments, all of that kind of stuff, any specialty electrical, any of that stuff can all be depreciated 100% the first year during that period. And then it begins to change in 23.
Yeah. And then the other thing that people need to realize is it needs to be placed in service. We can define what placed in service means. For me, that's just when rents start, like when a lease is signed and rent is collected. So again, if you bought something and it was placed into service before December 31st of 2022, you can still do cost segregation and bonus depreciation up to 100%. Yes. Is that correct?
And actually, it doesn't have to be rented. It only has to be advertised for rent or ready to rent. So there were a lot of people who wanted to get the 100% bonus depreciation who were struggling to get their properties ready to rent by the end of 2022 so that they could place it call it placed in service and actually get the 100% bonus depreciation. If you've got a short-term rental, then the IRS is going to want to see a couple of short-term rentals on the property just to make sure you're really
Yeah.
doing it that way, because there are some definite advantages to the short-term rental um, owners too. So
Yeah.
they want to make sure you're actually going to do it short-term.
Yeah. So the other thing that we're talking about here, we're really hitting on the term 100%. The reason that is because as of January 1st, 2023, the scale down, or whatever you want to call it, cliffs has started. So in 2023, if you purchase and or put something into service, you are no longer going to get 100% bonus depreciation. You are going to get 80. And just so we can get to it, next year will be 60, then 40, then 20. But this year, it's 80% bonus depreciation. Do I remember that correct?
That's correct. And they thought maybe in the new spending bill that was just passed that they were going to extend 100% bonus. Unfortunately, they neglected to do that. And so now we're dealing. But really, if you run the numbers, 80% bonus is a small difference from 100% bonus. And what you don't get up front the first year, you're generally going to get in the first 5 years anyway. So, it works out well anyway.
Yeah. Again, the cost segregation again will separate out, and you'll get those little extra pieces for the 5-year, 7-year, and 15-year for that extra 20%. So again, it is I don't know, how do I want to say this? Getting 100% is better than getting 80, but getting 80 doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, if you are a real estate investor, you are confused about what we're talking about, I do suggest looking at that deep dive playlist. There's a lot of value there. But David, how would somebody reach out to you?
They can text me at 770-367-8091. I'm in the Atlanta area, but I work nationwide. So if I don't respond, it's probably because you're in a far off time zone.
Yeah.
I've met a lot
Yeah.
of people from California through you, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of One Rinse at a Time fans reaching out to you because we've been talking for over a year now, maybe even a year and a half. Um, yeah, people really like what you're doing because again, having your job's got to be fun. You're saving people taxes, and for many people, it's cold hard cash.
It is. And if people understand the time value of money, to get the cash now rather than getting the cash spread out over the next 27 and a half years is a huge benefit, because you can put that money to work and it can make you a lot more money.
Yeah.
Or you can use it to invest in more real estate.
Yeah, and again, if you're a real estate professional, you're like somebody like Omar who's doing this a lot. The savings are gargantuan.
Omar and I are becoming best friends now.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, exactly.
We're
You're
currently working on, I think, 6 properties for him, and
yeah,
I've already done like 16 or 18 properties for him.
yeah.
So,
And again, these are things that Grant Cardone uses and talks about. He talked about his jet and all these things. But again, the reason he's buying apartments, you hear a lot of syndicators talk about, hey, be an LP, limited partner for 100 grand. I'm going to give you 50K and year 1 tax right. This is all part of the game. I think a lot of multifamily deals were done because of cost segregation and bonus depreciation, because of all that year 1 was brought through. So it's definitely something the big boys use.
well, and it used to be that only the big boys could afford to do it.
Right.
Now, I've done a lot of single family homes or small duplexes or condos. Anything with a cost basis over $150,000 that you've owned for less than 15 years, we can look at it, get a free estimate, do a study on.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's walk people through the process, right? They want to get a free estimate. What number do they reach out again?
Text me at 770-367-8091. We'll talk. I'll send you a list of some information, very simple information that I need on the property in order to get a free estimate. Within 2 days or so, I'll have the estimate in hand. We'll schedule a Zoom call so I can review it with you. The estimate is going to show you exactly what the study will cost and the approximate tax benefit. Typically, for those estimates, we try to shoot about 10% low on the numbers, because I like calling people saying, hey, we
found
told
you
you
more
we were going
money.
to get you. Yeah, we got you way more than we thought.
Yeah.
Because people like that. So we tend to under promise and over deliver. Once you sign an engagement letter, when you say, okay, Dave, we want to go, you pay a 50% deposit. We gather some more information. We actually do a site visit out to the property, take pictures and measurements. Don't ever do a cost segregation study with someone who doesn't do a site visit.
I
Uh,
agree. I mean, there's something because there's again, this was such a big opportunity for folks. There's a lot of companies that are just doing kind of online stuff. And as somebody who's gone through an IRS audit that took 13 months, there's no chance in hell I would want to go through somebody who hasn't gone on site, taken pictures, measurements, has the full audit trail. These kind of lipstick online stuff scares the bejesus out of me.
well, I looked recently at the IRS audit guide for cost segregation.
Of
Uh,
course you did.
and there are a number of methods of cost segregation that are spelled out in the audit guide. The one that they recommend and prefer is an engineering-based cost segregation study. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It also says in there that a site visit should be made to every property that they're doing a cost segregation study on. And I've
Yeah.
had people who've said, oh no, I can get it a lot cheaper if I use a site that does DIY
Ugh.
cost segregation. and
Yeah, it
basically,
might work, but man, I'm all about protecting the downside. And having
yeah.
gone through an IRS audit that was intrusive, but fair, but still intrusive, I would never do it. No, I'm only coming to you. I'm site visit, engineering plan. You're going to back it up. You're on the call.
And
It's
we
just,
do free audit. We do free audit defense. Should you be audited, you're not going to be audited on our study because it just doesn't happen. We've done over 32,000 studies nationwide, never once triggered an audit. But if you were audited on something else and they called the study into question,
yeah,
our engineers will defend that study. And in the handful of cases we've had, we've never had a change.
yeah. Yes,
You know,
again, site visits required. I see a lot of this do it yourself stuff. And it sounds good because it's cheap and it gives you a bunch of upside. But again, after my audit, which was 2020, I think, or maybe it was 19, I'll no thanks. I'm not about cheap. I want to have somebody else behind me,
and you know,
willing to have that
we
discussion.
our company actually invented the modern method of cost segregation. We're the oldest, we're the largest, you know,
Yeah.
they know us. And you can attest to the fact, Michael, that the cost is really
No,
minimal compared to the
yeah.
benefit that you get.
Cost, customer service, full report. I put it in my tax return for the year that we did it, so it's just there. Yeah, it was very helpful and custom. It was great. You over delivered. You under promised, over delivered.
The
Speed.
only negative is I nag a lot if you haven't gotten your information to me.
Yeah, I mean you follow up. Oh, how dare you? How dare you do that? So again, give a little press to your company. One more time, how can somebody reach out? Because hopefully there's people that see the opportunity to save some taxes.
You can reach out to me by text at 770-367-8091 or by phone at 770-224-8504. You'd be welcome to do either. The company is CSSI, Cost Segregation Services, Inc., the #1 engineering-based cost segregation provider in the U.S.
There you go. Well, David, thank
Nothing
you for
more
being
needs to
part
be
of.
said.
Yeah, exactly. We're just the best and the biggest. No big
That's
deal.
it.
Yeah.
And I got
Thank
the
you for being
greatest job in the world.
You do, yeah. Thank you for doing the deep dive for me. That was probably 3 or 4 months ago. I appreciate it. Love to have you back.
It was my pleasure, and you know where to find me, and I'm happy to be a part of the One Rental at a Time family.
There you
Anytime
go.
you want me, you got me.
There you go, David. Thank you so much, folks. Send them a text. See if he can help you. The estimate is free. And worst case, you learn something. So,
And
David, thank you so
questions
much.
are welcome. Yep.
There you go.